everyone. Welcome back to the J&May English Podcast. I'm May.
And I'm Mr. J. Today, we are tackling a huge problem: why we forget English so fast.
Seriously, it's like my brain has a delete button that hits itself every night.
You aren't alone, May. Most learners feel this way. But by the end of this episode, you'll learn a simple trick to make new words stick forever.
I need that trick right now. But first, if you want to stop forgetting and start speaking, make sure to subscribe to the J&May English Podcast.
Exactly. Now, May, tell me about the last time you forgot a word.
Oh, it was yesterday. I studied the word ubiquitous for 20 minutes. I was so proud. This morning, gone. I couldn't even remember the first letter.
That is because of the forgetting curve. It's a scientific fact that we forget about 70% of new info within 24 hours.
70%? That's a total disaster, Mr. J. Why is my brain doing this to me?
It's actually trying to help you. It thinks English words are like junk mail, so it deletes them to save space.
So I'm not just bad at English? My brain is just being a clean freak?
Exactly. Your brain just needs to know what is trash and what is treasure. Most learners fail here because they just read a word over and over. That's passive learning.
That's me. I read my vocabulary list while I drink my coffee. Is that why it doesn't work?
Precisely. It's like watching a cooking show but never actually cooking. Your brain stays lazy. To fix this, you need active recall.
Active recall? Does that mean I have to work harder?
Not harder, just smarter. Instead of reading the word, you have to force your brain to find it. Close the book and ask, what was that word for everywhere?
Ubiquitous?
You got it. That tiny struggle you just felt, that's the sound of your brain moving the word from a sticky note to a stone carving.
I like that. So my short-term memory is a sticky note and my long-term memory is a stone carving. This part is vital because I've been using way too many sticky notes.
We all have, but even a stone carving can fade if we don't look at it. There's a specific timing you need to follow so the word never disappears.
Wait, there's a specific schedule? Is it like a workout routine for my memory?
In a way, yes. It's called spaced repetition. If you review a word at the exact moment you're about to forget it, the memory becomes 10 times stronger.
But how do I know when I'm about to forget it? I don't have a timer in my head.
You don't need one. There's a simple 1-3-7 rule that anyone can use without any fancy apps.
Okay, you have my attention. 1, 3, and 7. What do those numbers mean for my English?
They represent the days you should check the word again. If you do it on day 1, day 3, and day 7, the forgetting curve actually flattens out.
So if I learn a word on Monday, I shouldn't just study it on Monday night and then stop?
Correct. That's what we call cramming, and it's the fastest way to forget everything. You have to spread the love over the week.
This is blowing my mind. I've been spending 5 hours in one day studying and then nothing for the rest of the week.
That is exactly why you feel like you're starting from zero every time you open your book. You're building a sandcastle right before the tide comes in.
I don't want a sandcastle, I want a fortress. So, Mr. J, if I use this 1-3-7 rule, does that mean I can learn any word no matter how hard it is?
Absolutely. But there is one final mistake people make even when they use this rule. They forget to contextualize.
Contextualize? That's another big word. Does that mean I need to use it in a sentence?
It means you need to give the word a home in your life. A word without a story is a word without a soul.
A word without a soul? That sounds so sad. how do I give my English words a soul?
You have to stop using the examples from the dictionary and start using examples from your own day.
Oh, so instead of the internet is ubiquitous, I should say my cat's fur is ubiquitous on my sofa.
Exactly. Now that is a memory that will stick. Your brain cares about your cat. It doesn't care about the internet's definition.
That makes so much sense. I'm starting to see why my old way of learning was failing me so badly.
It's a common path, May, but once you change the system, the language starts to feel like a part of you, not just a list of facts.
I'm ready to stop the delete button for good. What's the next step in this memory makeover?
The next step is understanding that your brain is like a muscle. It needs the right kind of food to grow. Most people feed their brain boring lists, but we need to feed it emotions and images.
Emotions and images? So if I feel happy or even annoyed when I learn a word, I'll remember it better? I'm usually just bored.
Exactly. Boredom is the enemy of memory. Think about it. Why can you remember every detail of a movie you saw 3 years ago, but you forget a vocabulary word after 3 minutes?
Because the movie was exciting. There was music, drama, and maybe a handsome actor. My English textbook, not so much.
Precisely. Your brain has a filter called the amygdala. It decides what is important based on how much you care about it. If you learn the word clumsy because you just dropped your coffee, you will never forget it.
Oh, because I felt embarrassed when I dropped it. So I should try to learn words when I'm actually living my life, not just sitting at a desk?
That is a huge part of it. This part is vital. Don't just study English, live your life in English, even if it's just for 10 minutes a day while you're cooking or walking.
I like that, living my life in English. But Mr. J, what if I'm a beginner and I don't know enough words to live in it yet? I feel like I'll run out of things to say in 2 seconds.
That's a fair concern, but here's a simple trick for you. Use code switching.
Code switching? That sounds like a secret spy mission. What does it mean?
It's much simpler than that. It means you mix your own language with English. You don't have to say the whole sentence in English if you don't know how. Just use the new word you learned.
So, if I'm talking to a friend, I could say, "This coffee shop is so ubiquitous in this city," even if the rest of the conversation is in my native language?
Exactly. You are giving that word a home in a real conversation. You're telling your brain, look, I'm actually using this to talk to people. Don't delete it.
That is so much easier than trying to be perfect. I think I always forget because I'm so stressed about being perfect that my brain just shuts down.
Stress is actually a memory killer. When you're stressed, your brain releases a chemical called cortisol. Cortisol makes it very hard for your brain to store new information.
No wonder I forget everything during an English test. My brain is literally being attacked by stress chemicals.
Yes, so the best way to learn is when you are relaxed and having fun. That's why we try to keep this podcast light and cheerful. We want your brain to be open for business.
Well, I'm definitely feeling relaxed now, but I have to ask, what about sleep? I've heard that if you don't sleep, you don't remember. Is that true?
It is 100% true. Sleep is like the save button on a computer. If you study until 3 a.m. and then only sleep for 4 hours, you never actually clicked save.
So you're saying I have a professional excuse to take a nap?
In the name of English education, yes. During sleep, your brain moves information from the sticky note area to the stone carving area. It's a process called consolidation.
Consolidation. Okay, so I need active recall, the 1-3-7 rule, real-life emotions, and a good night's sleep. It sounds like a lot, but it's actually much more fun than just memorizing lists.
It is much more natural. Most learners fail here because they treat English like a math problem, but English is a skill, like playing the piano or riding a bike.
I remember falling off my bike a lot before I learned how to stay up. I guess forgetting a word is just like falling off the bike?
Exactly. You don't get mad at the bike, right? You just get back on. Every time you forget and then relearn a word, that memory becomes even stronger than before.
Wait, really? So forgetting is actually good?
In a way, yes. Research shows that successful forgetting followed by relearning is the best way to build a permanent memory. It's like a workout for your brain.
Wow, I've been feeling so guilty every time I forgot a word, but I was actually just training.
Precisely. The guilt is what makes people quit. But if you see forgetting as part of the muscle building process, you'll stay motivated much longer.
I feel so much better about my leaky bucket brain now, Mr. J. I just need to start clicking that save button more often.
You definitely do. And there is one last thing we need to discuss: the power of your ears versus the power of your eyes.
Oh, does listening help you remember better than reading?
For most people, yes. Our brains are wired for sound. Think about how many song lyrics you know by heart without even trying to study them.
That's true. I know every word to some songs I haven't heard in 10 years. Why is that?
Because of rhythm, melody, and repetition. English has its own rhythm, too. If you only read words, they are flat. If you hear them, they have a shape.
I want my words to have a shape. So listening to this podcast is actually helping me remember better than if I were reading a textbook?
You've got it. You are hearing our voices, our laughter, and the way the words flow together. That creates a much deeper hook in your memory.
I love that, a memory hook. I'm going to imagine a little hook in my brain catching all these new words.
It's a great image, but we have to make sure those hooks are strong. Let's talk about how to keep those hooks from breaking over time.
I'm ready. What's the secret to keeping the hooks strong?
The secret is interleaving. It sounds like a big word, but it just means mixing things up. If you only practice one thing for an hour, your brain gets bored and turns off.
Mixing things up. So instead of studying only past tense for an hour, I should do 10 minutes of past tense, then 10 minutes of new vocabulary, then 10 minutes of listening?
Exactly. Imagine you're a tennis player. If you only practice the same swing for 5 hours, you become a robot. But in a real game, the ball comes at you in different ways. Your brain needs to be ready for the surprise.
Oh, so if I mix my study topics, my brain stays awake because it doesn't know what's coming next.
Precisely. This part is vital. Variety is the spice of memory. When you jump between different topics, your brain has to work harder to reload the information. That reloading process is where the real learning happens.
That makes so much sense. I used to get so bored doing the same grammar exercise 20 times. No wonder I forgot it all by the next day.
We all did. Now, before we wrap up, let's do a quick recap of the key words we used today so our listeners can start their 1-3-7 schedule right now.
Great idea. The first one was ubiquitous. That means something that is everywhere, like English speakers, or in my case, cat fur on my clothes.
Perfect. Then we had active recall. This is the act of trying to remember something from your mind instead of just reading it again from your notes.
And we can't forget the forgetting curve. That's the scientific graph that shows how fast we lose information if we don't review it.
Don't forget spaced repetition. That is the strategy of reviewing information at specific intervals, like our 1-3-7-day rule, to push it into long-term memory.
We also talked about the amygdala. That's the part of the brain that decides if a word is trash or treasure based on our emotions.
And finally, consolidation. That is the save button for your brain that happens while you sleep.
Wow, we covered a lot today, Mr. J. I feel like I finally have a map to find my way out of this forgetting forest. I'm gonna go take a consolidation nap right now.
You've earned it, May. Just remember, forgetting isn't a sign of failure. It's just a sign that you're human. Use the system and the words will stay.
Thank you so much for sharing these secrets with us. It's been so helpful.
It was my pleasure. I can't wait to hear how our listeners use these tricks.
Me too. Before you go, we want to hear from you. What is one English word you always seem to forget no matter how many times you study it? Let us know in the comments and maybe we can help you find a memory hook for it.
We look forward to reading your stories. Happy learning, everyone!
Bye-bye.